Straight ahead on WBKB, the federal government now has vaccines for everyone.
Plus, good news for educators getting the COVID-19 vaccine. And one local couple shares how their love has lasted for more than 60 years.
You are watching Thunder Bay News Network. WBKB News at 6 starts now.
This is WBKB News at 6. An in-depth look at news, weather, and sports. From hard-hitting news stories to local events, we're there with coverage you can count on. You're watching WBKB News at 6.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Sherry Stewart.
And I'm Tyler Cruz. Well, Trump's impeachment defense took the Senate floor today and to begin and evidently conclude their presentation. Their opening statement only used about 3 hours of the 16 hours of presentation time allowed. In their defense, Trump's lawyers looked to prove that Democrats are just as guilty of fiery speeches and played a 10-minute clip of Democratic Party members using the word fight in political speeches. The defense focused on videos to prove their points. They also looked to prove that Donald Trump's actions were protected by the First Amendment and impeachment would be a dangerous precedent to set for all future politicians.
Do you want to create a precedent where the Senate will be tasked with sitting in judgment as to the meaning and implied intent of a president's words or words of any elected official?
And around 3:30 p.m., Trump's defense team concluded their opening statements. Each side was given a time for a closing statement before senators were allotted time for questions. Debate and a vote whether to acquit or convict Donald Trump will likely come over the weekend.
Well, President Joe Biden announced yesterday a purchase of 200 million COVID-19 vaccines, now giving the country enough supply to vaccinate all Americans. President Biden says Pfizer and Moderna each agreed to 100 million vaccines, and the companies will expedite their deliveries of the shots to May rather than June. The two companies each have scheduled deliveries for March as well. Overall, the additional doses will increase the country's supply to about 600 million total doses.
Within 3 weeks, round-the-clock work with so many people standing behind me and in front of me. We've now purchased enough vaccine supply to vaccinate all Americans. And now we're working to get those vaccines into the arms of millions of people.
In 3 weeks, the administration has deployed over 1,000 federal staffers at vaccination sites around the country. President Biden hopes to vaccinate all Americans by the end of summer.
Well, a survey done by the Michigan Education Association shows a majority of educators are in the process of receiving a COVID-19 vaccine. An online survey of MEA members reveals that nearly 2/3 of Michigan school employees are either vaccinated or in the process of being vaccinated against COVID-19. Another third of more than 22,500 respondents are waiting to get their first shot, with about 90% of Michigan educators overall wanting to receive the vaccine. These survey figures are significantly better than results of a national survey released by the National Education Association, which found just 18% of educators have been vaccinated.
Well, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and Blue Care Network will continue to waive out-of-pocket costs for COVID-19 related treatments. Cost sharing for members who are diagnosed and treated for COVID-19 will be waived through September 30th of 2021. Blue Cross and Blue Care Network members have not had to pay cost sharing for coronavirus treatment since March of 2020. 55,000 plus members have had their shares of COVID-19 treatments waived. The president and CEO of Blue Cross says that with vaccines arriving, we are seeing signs of hope and promise in our fight against COVID-19, but too many are still at risk. And for the latest information, you can visit MI Blues Perspectives and bcbsm.com/coronavirus.
Well, Saturday and Sunday, Michigan residents can fish without a license. However, there are still a few rules to keep in mind. The Michigan Department of Natural Resources reminds anglers they need to follow all fishing regulations this weekend. These regulations include catch and release guidelines for various fish species and caps on the number of catches. These rules vary by region, so the DNR recommends reading the 2020 Fishing Guide to make sure you know what applies in your area. DNR Representative Sierra Medrano says ice safety should also be a consideration.
So really, fishing with a buddy, letting someone know where you're going, letting someone know like when you'll be back, those type of safety things to kind of keep an eye out for.
And fees for various state fishing locations will be waived this weekend as well. You can find links to the fishing and ice safety guides on our website.
Alpena Community College has a new career development opportunity. The college will run a utility arborist boot camp in March. Utility arborists trim trees near power and phone lines before the lines receive service. Dawn Stone, Dean of Workforce Development at ACC, says this is one of the many understaffed industries in Michigan. The course runs March 8th through the 12th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and students will be fully certified for work in the field upon completion. Registration for the course is $50, and Stone says 2/3 of the available spots are filled. Those who want to apply can call 989-358-7293 or email stondone@alpenacc.edu.
Well, as we head into Valentine's Day weekend, one couple shares how they've made love last for more than 60 years. WBKB's Stephanie Minichi has the story.
84-year-old James Line and his wife Mary, who's 81, have been together almost 65 years. James says he met Mary when she was just 16 years old and instantly became her protector. He reflects back over their years together and shares what love has come to mean for him.
Love is being together and taking care of each other. And when you walk in the door, you've been out working in the rain or something, you come in the house, you see her in a rocking chair, rocking one of the kids. That's love.
Daughter Christine Crossnose says love for their family and one another was the glue that kept them together.
My parents provided everything possible that they could. My mother always had dinner on the table at 5 o'clock, sometimes sooner. And when my dad did work, it was the same way. Their love for each other, it was from day one.
James also shares a tip for new lovers that worked for he and Mary whenever they had disagreements.
We never went to bed mad at each other. We settled our differences and that was it.
James and Mary currently live at Meadow Lodge in Greenview, and as you can see, James still serves as Mary's protector. These two have been partners in love and partners in adversity as they're both recent COVID-19 survivors. This is just one more thing that they can add to that lengthy list of love. In Alpena, Stephanie Minichi, WBKB News.
Oh, nice.
A beautiful story.
That's an awesome story. Shout out to James and Mary for keeping that fire burning for so long.
Absolutely. Great deal. Well, there's more news ahead for you here on WBKB. Coming up, a look at how the pandemic is affecting the financial...
Here's meteorologist Ellie Morrison with a first check of the weather. Ellie, not the best beach day today.
Tyler, it's going to be a while until we start talking about good beach days around northeast Michigan. We have the snow and the cold temperatures, though some of that snow has been easing around our area. Earlier in the day, we had some enhancement to that snow, so it was coming down at a bit more of a heavier rate because of east winds coming off of Lake Huron, so some added moisture feeding into that snow. Right now, the heaviest snow is along the Lake Michigan shoreline, north of Traverse City through the Traverse City area, so if you have any evening plans to take you west of I-75, be aware of those bursts of heavier snow. We still have some light snow showers, but most of us will probably catch a break through the overnight period into tomorrow morning. So here's a look outside at Lachine and at M32 and M65. We have been seeing some light snow coming down. It looks like the roads are being cleared pretty promptly, so road conditions are looking okay. And down towards Rose City, there were some heavier bursts of snow in this area earlier, and we are still seeing overcast skies with a few flurries. I'll let you know about more snow on the way for tomorrow and then how cold it's going to get Sunday night into Monday morning. Those temperatures get worse before they get better. That's all ahead later in the newscast.
All right, Ellie, we'll see you in a bit. Well, a recent report finds that COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on the economic outlook for many women. An analysis from the National Women's Law Center finds that women suffered 100% of all jobs lost in December. Among the jobless, Black and Latino women have been hit the hardest. India Beale is among the many national curators capturing the stories of women making their way through the ongoing health and financial crisis. She says the pandemic week has revealed in glaring fashion the inequities that must be addressed in the marketplace.
And so if we don't have women of color in leadership, if we don't have women on the board, if we don't have women making these changes, then we'll never see real diversity, equity, and inclusion within the corporate.
If you have a photo, such as nature shots, pics with friends, or interesting sights you see that you would like to send us, email it along with a short description to news@wbkb11.com.
Those bunnies have a nice warm coat, it looks like, but it must be fun trying to keep them alive throughout the winter. Sports is coming up next, but first we send it to Jake Vanderbrook with a preview. Jake, what's going on tonight?
Next in sports, one area athlete will be taking her talents to the collegiate level. Find out who. Plus, Detroit, they're back in action on this Friday as they'll head to Boston to take on the Celtics. I'll preview that and more up next in sports.
Well, as we promised, a viral video has been going around the Twitter spheres this week, Sherry. And when Judge Roy Ferguson opened up virtual proceedings of his judicial district court in Texas on Zoom, it's safe to say he was not expecting to see 2 lawyers and 1 kitten.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that. I think if you...
I can promise you I'm not a cat.
A little bit of cuteness there. Well, that's all we have for you this evening.
You can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on other news items online.
Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night.
And check us out on our Facebook page and Twitter handle @WBKB11.
And be sure to catch us back here tonight at 11 with Stephanie Manici. Have a great evening.